Why is this how I start all my videos now? I know you guys don't see half of the stuff that happens behind the scenes. I usually delete a lot of it. Well, I don't really delete all of it. It depends. I delete a lot of awkward pauses, but like there's some stuff that I do that I just wonder when I'm watching back the video and I'm like, what was I doing? What was I thinking? Here, and today we are going to be talking about my book Buzzword. If you guys don't know what a buzzword is, it's basically like, you know, wait, I have a book. Okay, so that's like, it's basically like this thing up at the top that's like a tent moving, and it's just like, and it's basically just like the words that people use to describe books. I kind of have a long list of buzzwords because I'm someone who likes to read a wide variety of things, just like I like to watch a wide variety of things and listen to a wide variety of things. So that being said, we should probably just get right into it. Okay. The first book buzzword I have is retelling. If a story is a retelling of something, I don't care what, I am going to be interested in it. I love retellings of anything because I love the creativity that goes behind it. It's funny because it's not really creativity since you're kind of stealing the idea behind another story, but it's also really interesting to see how they take a twist on things. And I love retellings of stories so much. It doesn't matter if it's a fairy tales, of common stories, or anything like that. I love retellings. My second one is time travel. Now, I am a huge sci-fi nerd. I don't know if I've said this yet, but I love sci-fi stuff. I don't mean books when I say I'm a huge sci-fi nerd. I mean, I am a gigantic movie geek and I love sci-fi everything. And in fact, my favorite TV show happens to be Doctor Who, which is all about time travel, so I love time travel. I'm interested in books that have time travel in them because time travel is a really hard concept to kind of put into a book because it's a really hard thing to write about because it's so tricky and fiddly, and you kind of have to approach every aspect of it and stuff like that. That's not to say that I like every book that has time travel in it. There have been a couple of books that have had time travel in them and I haven't really favored, but that's besides the point. My next buzzword is poetic. I love things that are poetic. Of course, it depends on my mood, but I love poetic things because it inspires me to write and it gets me in the writing mood, and I love when things do that because I love being in the writing mood. I'm not always in the writing mood. Sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not, but it makes me really excited to write. The next one is thriller. Obviously, I love thriller novels, as I said in some of my previous videos, but I love thrillers because they keep you on the edge of your seat and they keep you interested. Just suspense, anything like that. I love them. The next thing is plot twists. Obviously, I love plot twists because they make it so you don't really know what's going to happen. They change the story up, unless they're predictable, in which case, you know. But I love things that say that they have plot twists in them because you never know for sure. And so, you know, I love plot twists. The next one is action. I love action things. I love them. Like, if the whole novel is an action novel and it's just like, oh, she's kicking this person, oh, she's hitting this person, oh, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening constantly, and there's no actual storyline, then I'm kind of like, you know. But I love books that have action facts in them. For instance, Gemina has a lot of action scenes in it, and I love that. I love reading about action stuff because it makes the characters seem really badass, and I kind of wish that I could do that, and I know that I can't. So the next word is kind of predictable, and that word is space. I love anything space themed. This goes back to the whole being a sci-fi nerd and sci-fi geek and sci-fi lover and just being obsessed with sci-fi stuff. I love things that have to do in space, and I honestly don't read enough novels that are in space. I read a lot of fantasy novels. I don't read enough sci-fi novels. I need to read more because I love sci-fi novels, and I don't think there's been a sci-fi novel that takes place in space that I haven't loved yet. I don't think there's been one. I could be wrong. There could be multiple, but the next one is an unreliable narrator. I love unreliable narrators because they make the story interesting, which, you know, a lot of people don't like unreliable narrators, but I love unreliable narrators. I love being able to make my own suggestions, and it kind of makes you think, oh, you can't really trust anyone to do anything, to tell you anything, and that kind of stuff. And I love that. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I love unreliable narrators. The next one is no romance. This cannot be said enough. Obviously, I love books with romance in them. I have nothing against books with romance in them, but if a book doesn't have romance in it, I'm going to pick it up because you don't see that very often. I'm going to be honest with you. It doesn't matter what the book's about, but the likelihood that you're going to find some type of romance in it is very, very high. Just because that's what authors think that people want, but a lot of the time you don't really need romance to make a story good. For instance, I just recently read 172 Hours on the Moon, and I loved that book. It was really good, but they put the two, so if you guys don't know what the book is about, it's basically these teenagers who get this chance to go to the moon, and they decide that two of the teenagers are going to fall in love with each other, and they're just going to leave the third one hanging, you know? And they literally didn't expand on it at all. They didn't even need to mention it. They didn't need that to happen. It had no point to the story, and I was so mad, because I was like, why do you guys do this? Why do you think that this is good for the story? It's not. Stop it. I just love books that say that they don't have romance in them because they make it more interesting and more unique, and more stories need that. The next one is bad guys. This is kind of tricky to explain, but I love it when the point of view of the story takes place from the supposed villains or bad guys of the story, people who aren't supposed to be the main characters, because the main characters are usually supposed to be heroes or good people, you know? But when it takes place of the point of view of a thief or something like that, I love things like that. I love them. I can never get enough of it, and I wish there was more like that. The next one is multiple points of views. Of course I love single points of views, but I love multiple points of views because oftentimes in single points of views, you find that you're missing out on a lot of information and you're missing out on a lot of others' perspectives, because a lot of the time in single points of views, it's very biased towards the person whose point of view it's in. And so it's kind of hard to understand what the other characters are going through and what the other characters are thinking, what's going on with the other characters and stuff like that, but it's only through one point of view. And so I love novels that take place in more than one point of view, especially considering it gives you a lot more insight, and it also gives you dramatic irony, and I love dramatic irony. That's one of my favorite things in novels. It's not a buzzword because people don't really use the word dramatic irony, but if you see multiple points of views, more often than not, you're gonna have some sort of dramatic irony, which is basically when the audience, us, knows something that the characters in the book do not. And so if you have multiple points of views, you can see, oh, this person is planning this, and the other characters don't know about it, but we do because they just told us. I love that. I don't know why. The next one is friendship. I love friendship. But I love a particular type of friendship. I love friendship that turns into a family-like friendship. So you meet a group of people and you're kind of uncertain about them, but then slowly you guys all bond together and then they become your family. And I love that. It gives me such a heartwarming feeling, and I love it. I love it so much. I have two more, and the next one is Mindbending, because who doesn't love a mind-bending story? Who doesn't love stories that just make your mind think and think and think, and then it gets stuck in your head, and then you're just wondering about it for hours and hours and hours and hours. I love that. And then finally, the last one is frame stories. I love frame stories. You guys know what a frame story is? It's basically when you have an overlying story, and then in that story there's an object or something that tells another story. For instance, a stretch, but one that can be considered a frame story, is Illuminate, because you have the outer story, which is basically the files, and the people who are putting the files together and stuff like that, and then you have the story that the files are telling, which is kind of like a frame story. And they call it a frame story because you've got the frame, and then you've got the story inside the frame. It's just, I don't know. I love frame stories. They're great. I don't think there's ever been a frame story that I haven't really enjoyed, except for, we read a frame story, and I don't remember who it was by. Maybe Poe, but I don't think it was, in my English class, and I didn't like it. Maybe it's because I didn't know what was going on, but, I don't like it. But I tend to love frame stories. Frame stories are amazing. And all these are my book buzzwords, and I just love books that have those kinds of buzzwords in them. I'm sure there's a ton more, but I couldn't really think of them over the course of the time that I'd come up with. These are the only ones that I could come up with, but those were all the book buzzwords that I could think of. If I think of any more, I'll probably tweet it or something. So check my Twitter out. It's down in the description if you guys want to go follow me, or if you ever need anything. down in the description. But yes, that is all that I have for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new here, make sure to stick around. And if you do, I guess I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye! Great.